Hey there, curious minds. Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're not just unraveling a mystery. We're really digging deep into history, belief, and, well, what makes us human. Imagine a priceless jewel, right? Steeped in ancient lore, but it brings not fortune, but this relentless curse on anyone who possesses it.
Yeah.
That's our starting point for today's deep dive. We're plunging into a classic, foundational work of detective fiction that really captivated Victorian society and, honestly, still sparks conversation today. Wilkie Collins' The Moonstone.
Indeed, yeah, we're embarking on a journey through this often unsettling narrative of the Moonstone. It's a crime story that absolutely mesmerized Victorian readers, and, it continues to intrigue us with its layers of mystery and human drama.
And the sources we have are just incredible for this, aren't they?
They really are. Our sources for this deep dive are incredibly rich. It's like a tapestry woven from all these different firsthand accounts. You get everything from the loyal, sort of old-fashioned servant.
Like Betteredge?
Exactly, like Betteredge, to the sharp, modern lawyer, and even the self-righteous busybody type. Each perspective adds this crucial, often conflicting piece to the puzzle. It creates this almost kaleidoscopic view of the events.
Interesting.
What's fascinating here is how these differing viewpoints, they don't just advance the plot, but they also vividly reveal the biases and the limitations of each narrator, which, mirrors how real-life criminal investigations often grapple with subjective testimonies.
Totally. So our mission, then, is to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge from these diverse accounts. We want to offer you a shortcut to understanding not just what happened, but why it gripped so many people.
Right.
And what it tells us about that intricate dance between, say, fate and free will, and how it just laid bare the hidden corners of the human heart.
Yeah.
So get ready for twists, turns, and some truly unexpected revelations that will, I think, challenge our assumptions about guilt, innocence, and maybe the very nature of truth itself.
Absolutely. This isn't just about who took the diamond, is it? It's about the deep human motivations and the societal pressures that converge around this single cursed object, pushing people right to their limits and revealing their true selves. The legacy of the Moonstone, a jewel with a dark past. So fittingly, we begin our journey at the very genesis of the curse, tracing the diamond's ancient origins. And this isn't just any valuable object, it's a yellow diamond with roots stretching way back to the 11th century of the Christian era.
11th century, wow.
Yeah. And what's truly fascinating here is that its story doesn't begin in like a jeweler's vault or a monarch's treasury, but in a deeply spiritual heartland, the holy city of Somnath in India. It was violently seized by the Mohammedan conqueror Mahmud of Ghazni, a figure pretty notorious for his military campaigns and plundering expeditions across India.
Right, I read about him. His raids were significant historical events.
Exactly, particularly on Somnath. And the act of stripping this diamond from a temple that had stood for centuries as a shrine of Hindu pilgrimage and a wonder of the Eastern world, well, it was a profound act of cultural and religious desecration.
So right from the start, it's not just about a jewel. It's about a sacred artifact being ripped from its cultural and religious context by force.
Precisely.
And that act of violence, it immediately gives it this almost supernatural aura, doesn't it?
It does, and we learn that of all the deities worshipped in the temple, the moon god alone escaped the rapacity of the conquerors.
Yeah.
It was preserved by 3 Brahmins, the highest caste, traditionally priests and scholars,
Right.
which establishes the diamond's unique identity as the Moonstone. And crucially, this act of preservation by the Brahmins links it to divine protection and, as we'll soon see, divine retribution. It really sets the stage for a conflict that goes way beyond mere theft.
A spiritual conflict, almost.
Absolutely. This sacred preservation is key to understanding the diamond's power. The deity itself commanded that the Moonstone be watched by these 3 priests, in turn, night and day, to the end of the generations of men.
Wow. That's a commitment.
It is. And here's where the explicit curse is articulated, not as some whispered superstition, but as a direct divine pronouncement.
Okay.
The deity predicted certain disaster to the presumptuous mortal who laid hands on the sacred gem and to all of his house and name who received it after him.
Chilling. And that wasn't just like word of mouth.
No, not at all. This prophecy wasn't some obscure bit of folklore. It was so significant, so deeply ingrained in their belief system that it was actually inscribed in gold over the shrine gates.
In gold, over the gates.
Yeah, which matters immensely because it establishes this powerful, almost preordained context for everything that follows. It immediately frames the subsequent events not just as a crime, but as an act of cosmic defiance, a spiritual transgression with inescapable consequences.
So imagine inheriting something with such an ominous, divinely sanctioned history. How would that weigh on you? It's a heavy burden, right? A sense of almost inescapable destiny.
It's a heavy, almost inescapable burden, yeah. And that burden, that sense of cosmic defiance, it only intensifies when we fast forward to its violent acquisition by Western hands.
Okay, here we go.
This brutal historical moment, it solidifies the curse's grip and brings it right into the sphere of European colonial power. We leap ahead to the late 18th century, specifically the storming of Seringapatam.
Under General Baird, May 4th, 1799. I remember that date.
That's the one. And this wasn't just a military victory for the British. It was a particularly bloody and decisive battle, a significant moment in the British conquest of India. It was this violent crucible where the diamond truly entered English possession, setting in motion the direct confrontation between the ancient curse and the new colonial masters.
And the scene itself, the way it's described, is pretty raw.
It's chilling and visceral, yeah. In the chaotic court outside the Treasury, amid all the carnage and violence of the aftermath, a key figure emerges. Colonel Herncastle.
Ah, Herncastle.
Described as having a fiery temper, exasperated to a kind of frenzy by the terrible slaughter through which we had passed. This is crucial. His actions are framed by the intense brutality of the moment.
Right.
It's here that Herncastle is seen with a dagger, and a dying Indian sank to his knees, pointed to the dagger in Herncastle's hand, and said in his native language, "The Moonstone will have its vengeance yet on you and yours."
And then he died right there.
Fell dead. This isn't a mere theft of a trinket. It's a violent taking involving bloodshed, an act that immediately and explicitly triggers the prophecy.
And the narrator, Herncastle's cousin, he even points out that the family feud, the whole reason he's telling the story.
Exactly. The private difference between them took its rise in a great public event. It links the personal tragedy directly to this moment of imperial conquest and a deep sense of historical injustice. The crime, therefore, has this profound, almost ancient root, this cultural wound now translated into a personal family curse.
It really connects the curse to a specific violent act rooted in colonial expansion. It makes you think about the long shadow of history, doesn't it?
It really does.
How much do we carry the burden of ancestral actions, especially when it involves such a violent act of colonial appropriation, theft, and bloodshed, or, the desecration of cultural heritage?
It's a heavy question.
And Colonel Herncastle, in his sheer defiance, he seems almost to revel in it, like he embraces the curse rather than fearing it.
Indeed, Colonel Herncastle is truly a character of pure, almost pathological defiance. He kept the diamond in flat defiance of assassination in India.
Which is incredible in itself.
And then, unbelievably, in flat defiance of public opinion in England, where its origins were certainly scandalous, to say the least. His character is described as one that braved everything, a man seemingly immune to fear or social pressure.
And his habits kind of add to that picture, right? The opium, the books.
Exactly. His habits further paint this picture of an eccentric, perhaps even self-destructive individual. He was a notorious opium eater for years past, a detail that might seem minor now but becomes profoundly significant later in our deep dive. And he collected old books. These details aren't just flavor, they help us understand his peculiar, unyielding psychology. He's not a conventional villain. He's a man driven by his own will and maybe a dark sense of justice or spite, completely indifferent to the moral implications of his actions.
And this defiance, it extends even beyond his own life.
Yeah.
It morphs into this deliberate, almost malicious act.
Yeah. Yes. Despite knowing of a conspiracy followed the diamond, he was aware the Indian Guardians were relentlessly tracking it. He purposely left a legacy of trouble and danger to his sister through the innocent medium of his sister's child, Rachel Verinder.
Giving it to her for her 18th birthday.
As a birthday gift, and his twisted reasoning. He knew that Lady Verinder, his sister, would refuse to accept any legacy that came to her from him. It shows this deep-seated antagonism, this bitterness in their family relationship.
But it wasn't an accident. It was deliberate, spiteful almost, making his niece the target.
It's a deliberate, almost spiteful act designed to ensure the curse's continuation through his family, turning his niece into an unwitting target. And Mr. Murthwaite, the eminent traveler who really understands Indian culture.
Oh, he gets it.
He gets it. He later confirms this deliberate act. He explicitly states that the colonel knew the conspiracy followed the diamond. This suggests a conscious, almost malicious intent to pass on the curse, making Rachel a pawn in his posthumous revenge, or maybe a twisted, dangerous warning.
It highlights a fascinating aspect of criminal motivation, doesn't it? That desire to punish or disrupt, even from beyond the grave.
Using the diamond as a kind of psychological weapon, this intentional act by Herncastle transforms the jewel into a focal point for both ancient prophecy and immediate human conflict, setting the intricate stage for the dramatic events about to unfold in Victorian England. 2. The birthday and the disappearance. A society under scrutiny.
Okay, so fast forward 50 years after Seringapatam. The diamond finally arrives at Lady Verinder's grand country house in Yorkshire. The curse is about to land on English soil.
And Franklin Blake, Herncastle's nephew, is tasked with bringing it from London. He even admits he was not very willing to be the means of bringing it here. He already senses the ominous weight of its history.
You can't blame him.
Not at all. And this is where the tension truly begins to build, shifting from ancient history to this immediate, palpable suspense within the confines of a seemingly genteel Victorian household.
And almost instantly, the Guardians show up.
Almost immediately. Those determined Indian priests, they reappear, foreshadowing the impending crime with their quiet, relentless presence. 3 Indians are spotted, lurking near the estate. Their dark skin, their foreign attire, it makes them really conspicuous in the English countryside.
And Penelope, Betteredge's daughter, she spots them right away.
Sharp-eyed Penelope. She speculates they meant some mischief to Mr. Franklin Blake. They were even seen performing what the English characters dismissively called hocus pocus.
Right, the ink in the boy's hand.
Exactly, a form of scrying or divination, a method they believed could reveal hidden truths or the diamond's location. This wasn't just superstition for them, it was a culturally specific method of their relentless pursuit. It immediately draws this vivid battle line between Western rationalism and Eastern mysticism, or perhaps, a different kind of ancient knowledge.
And then comes the big celebration. Rachel Verinder's 18th birthday. She gets this infamous jewel.
And she wears it, apparently quite delighted to hear of her danger in India, seemingly unfazed by the warnings or the jewel's dark history.
Which seems incredibly reckless, or maybe just naive.
It does. This casual disregard for the diamond's violent past and the explicit prophecy makes her seem naive, or perhaps defiantly reckless, especially compared to Franklin's unease. It makes you think, doesn't it? If you were in Rachel's shoes given a gift with such a terrifying backstory...
Would you wear it proudly or lock it away?
Exactly. Would you wear it proudly, almost delighting in the danger in India, or would you bury it deep in a vault? Her almost reckless confidence is a crucial element in how the crime will be perceived and how she'll later react.
It definitely sets her apart as a character.
It certainly does. And the birthday party itself, it's this hub of social complexities. It's like a microcosm of Victorian society under scrutiny, where appearances often mask deeper truth. Rachel herself, the recipient of this cursed gem, is depicted as secret and self-willed, odd and wild, and unlike other girls. Very. She judges for herself, as few women of twice her age judge, marking her as this independent spirit, which, while admirable in some ways, also makes her a difficult, uncommunicative witness later on, prone to keeping her own counsel.
And into this mix, we get the suitors.
Okay.
Adding romantic tension.
Loads of it. There's Mr. Godfrey Ablewhite, the accomplished philanthropist and public speaker, outwardly charming, impeccable public facade.
But Penelope doesn't trust him.
No, she has this instinctive dislike, even though Rachel initially shows him favor. Then there's Franklin Blake, with his foreign training and bewildering manner. He's a bit of a bohemian, having lived on the continent.
Yeah, he says some slightly shocking things for the time.
He does, discussing the lengths to which a married woman might let her admiration go for a man who was not her husband, which is quite something for Victorian sensibilities. Old Betteredge, ever the astute observer, notes that Franklin's chance of topping Mr. Godfrey in our young lady's estimation was a very poor chance.
Sets up a clear rivalry.
For Rachel's affections and maybe her fortune. Exactly. And amidst all this polite social mingling, Mr. Murthwaite, the traveler, delivers this dire warning that, looking back, everyone should have taken far more seriously.
The one who actually understands the Indian perspective.
Right. He relays crucial intelligence about the conspirators. He reveals their motive, and the justification of that sacrifice of caste is profoundly religious, deeply rooted in their spiritual beliefs. It makes their pursuit of the Moonstone an unwavering sacred duty.
Not just theft.
Not just theft. He warns, with chilling prescience, those men will wait their opportunity with the patience of cats and will use it with the ferocity of tigers. He even questions Franklin directly, asking if he took the jewel out of the bank in London in daylight, subtly hinting at their strategic patience and meticulous tracking.
It's a critical expert opinion, providing context the English characters just dismiss.
They largely dismiss it, or maybe just don't fully comprehend it. It highlights how cultural differences can lead to profound misunderstandings with severe, even deadly consequences.
It's a classic case of ignoring warnings due to, what, a sense of superiority, disbelief.
Probably a mix of both. And then there's that subtle detail about the tune, The Last Rose of Summer.
Ah, yes, Sergeant Cuff's favorite. And the Indians, too.
Betteredge notes it's a favorite of the Indians as well. It's more than just a musical note. It's like a subtle literary device hinting at looming closure or maybe an ominous ending, connecting these disparate elements, suggests maybe a shared, if melancholic, understanding of loss.
So, under the surface of this polite Victorian gathering, you've got this powder keg. Unresolved history, unrequited love, lurking danger. Every detail potentially a clue.
And as the party winds down, the stage is meticulously set for the crime itself. Lady Verinder asks Rachel where she'll put the diamond for the night, a perfectly natural question.
But Rachel, still flighty.
Still in high good spirits and talking nonsense, insists on keeping it in her own room. Says she wants to wear it in my hair at breakfast.
Which, in hindsight, is just disastrous.
A tragic mistake. Her insistence on keeping this incredibly valuable and cursed gem in her personal, unsecured room is the final, fatal error. And then there's this detail that seems completely insignificant at the time.
Barely worth mentioning.
Exactly, but it becomes profoundly important. Mr. Candy, the family doctor, he's got a slight chill. He's exhausted from socializing.
Right.
His assistant, Ezra Jennings, gives him a dose of laudanum to help him sleep.
Laudanum, opium-based sedative. Very common then. Very potent.
Incredibly potent, and it could, as we'll see, have surprising and profound side effects, like memory alteration, this innocuous act of medical care. It becomes the pivot point for the entire case later on.
Amazing how a small detail like that changes everything.
It's a subtle masterstroke by Collins. Later that night, Franklin, maybe feeling the tension, shares brandy and water with Godfrey. He calls down to Betteredge, says he may want it in the night, implying trouble sleeping. Then he goes upstairs with Godfrey. Their rooms are next door.
Just a casual late-night drink between gentlemen.
Which gets twisted and reinterpreted many times over. Meanwhile, Betteredge, feeling fidgety, takes the bloodhound out to survey the grounds, finds nothing. No such thing as a lurking human creature anywhere.
But the night is mild and rainy. The sound swept up from the sea could mask other noises.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here is the sheer number of seemingly unrelated, mundane details laid out. Every casual conversation, every medical prescription, every observation by a faithful servant, all contributing to this intricate web of circumstantial evidence that will eventually reveal a truth far stranger than fiction.
So the grand house settles down. Seems peaceful. Rain outside. But inside, a sacred cursed diamond is loose. Warnings of tigers waiting patiently. What's really unfolding in those shadows? Every tiny detail could be the clue. This layering is what makes it so compelling. 3. The investigation begins. Confusion, red herrings, and a keen eye, and then, bang, 7:30 the next morning, the tranquility shatters.
Penelope, Betteredge's daughter, comes flying down after me like mad, screaming, "Father, come upstairs for God's sake, the diamond is gone!"
Pure chaos. Panic, disbelief. The investigation officially begins.
And Rachel's reaction immediately throws everything off course. It's a major red herring. She shrinks in the strangest manner from speaking of it even to me, meaning Betteredge, her trusted servant, and locks herself in her room, refuses to cooperate.
Which looks incredibly suspicious.
Terribly suspicious. Lady Verinder says, with concern, the loss of the diamond seems to have quite overwhelmed Rachel. This behavior, though we later find out it's rooted in a deep, personal, traumatic secret.
Right.
It appears incredibly suspicious to others, immediately casts doubt on her, even her own mother. It's a classic example of how psychological responses to trauma, especially when hidden or misunderstood, can be dangerously misinterpreted as guilt. leads investigators down completely the wrong path.
And Franklin, seeing the locked door, Rachel's silence. He jumps to the obvious conclusion.
The most logical one, given Murthwaite's warnings, the Indians. He hypothesizes, quite rationally, one of them might have slipped into the hall in the confusion when the dinner company were going away. He would only have to wait till the house was quiet, and there it would be in the cabinet to be had for the taking.
Seems plausible, but wrong.
Perfectly rational, yet ultimately incorrect. It highlights how quickly we jump to conclusions based on the most obvious or maybe most sensational explanations, especially when fueled by existing prejudices. The Indians were convenient scapegoats.
Which brings us to the local police. Superintendent Seagrave.
Oh, Seagrave. This brings us squarely to the incompetence of local law enforcement. A stark, almost satirical contrast to the emerging science of detection Collins was championing. His approach is less than stellar.
Franklin nails it, doesn't he? Whispers to Betteredge.
Superintendent Seagrave is an ass. He's right. Seagrave's investigation is marred by prejudice, a complete lack of proper methodology, and this eagerness to just find a culprit, any culprit, rather than the actual truth.
So the Indians get targeted immediately, despite no evidence.
Absolutely no direct evidence. But Seagrave, influenced by Lady Verinder's friendship with the local magistrate, maybe his own biases, has the 3 jugglers committed as rogues and vagabonds, just to keep them at our disposal under lock and key for a week.
The magistrate stretched a little. The law.
Literally. Shows how social influence, class bias, racial prejudice can easily sway justice against the marginalized. A stark commentary on the Victorian justice system's flaws.
And it doesn't stop there. He goes after the servants.
Still convinced somebody in the house had stolen the jewel, Seagrave subjects all the female servants, including Rosanna Spearman, to this humiliating, intrusive search of their rooms and belongings. Betteredge notes, with pity and indignation, the women were a sight to see, while the police officers were rummaging among their things.
Awful. An invasion of privacy. Based on class prejudice.
And a desperate need for a culprit. It deepens the sense of injustice, casts this long shadow over the innocent. Unsurprisingly, this heavy-handed approach yields nothing. The Indian clue was now, to all appearance, a clue that had broken in our hands, leaving the official investigation in utter disarray. The real culprit still moving freely among them.
Makes you wonder about justice systems like that, doesn't it? How easily incompetence and prejudice can derail things.
Definitely. But just when all seems lost, just when the local police have thoroughly bungled it.
Enter the professional.
Enter Sergeant Cuff, the greatest policeman in England, summoned from London. Betteredge describes him as dreary and as lean as ever, with steely gray eyes. His appearance hides his formidable intellect.
And his first action is completely different from Seagrave's.
Total different. Not a frantic search or an accusation, but quiet, meticulous observation of the scene. A hallmark of true investigative prowess.
He notices the tiny details.
What's truly fascinating is his immediate attention to the smallest, most overlooked details. He isn't looking for grand gestures. He's looking for forensic evidence. Cuff immediately notices a little smear of the decorative painting on Miss Rachel's door at the exact spot which the lock of the door must have touched.
A tiny paint smear. Missed by everyone else.
Becomes his crucial starting point. He deduces it came from one of the women servants, specifically the edge of a white gown or petticoat which had rubbed against the door while the paint was still wet. It's a testament to his almost scientific approach, seeing significance where others see nothing, building a case on tangible, physical evidence.
And he watches people, too, not just things. He observes Rachel.
Keenly. Her behavior remains highly suspicious. She shows some strange disturbance in her mind, coloring up, then turning pale whenever the diamond's mentioned. When asked directly to consent to a search of her wardrobe,
She refuses point blank. Incredible defiance.
Exactly. Her unaccountable objection to the sergeant is noted by Lady Verinder, adding to the suspicion. This secrecy, while understandable from Rachel's perspective later, looks incredibly incriminating to the trained detective who deals in facts and observable behavior, not hidden emotions.
And then she decides to leave.
Crucially, yes. Rachel declares her intention to leave for her aunt's in Frissing Hall, basically fleeing the scene. Cuff tells her plainly that her leaving us will be an obstacle in the way of my recovering her diamond, and she leaves in the face of that statement.
That must have sealed it for Cuff.
It solidifies his suspicions. Betteredge, witnessing this, recalls, "A cold shudder ran through me, my first suspicion, of a new light and a horrid light having suddenly fallen on the case. Cuff, with the tone of a man who knew what he was talking about, then confirms his grim conclusion. He suspects Rachel herself took the diamond.
Wow. So the master detective points the finger at the victim.
This is where the real deep dive into deduction begins, where appearances are stripped away and the smallest details lead to the most shocking conclusions. What makes Cuff different? It's his ability to see the significance in that tiny paint smear, a shift in demeanor, and connect it to human behavior, not just obvious, prejudiced suspects. He embodies this more scientific, psychological approach to investigation, far beyond the blunt instruments of local law. 4. Unmasking the Truth, Part 1. Rosanna Spearman's tragic role. So, with Rachel under suspicion and the Indians wrongly locked up, a new, pivotal, and ultimately tragic figure emerges, Rosanna Spearman.
The second housemaid.
Yes, she represents the hidden lives, the quiet suffering within that seemingly ordered Victorian household. A character designed to evoke a kind of pity. She'd been taken from the reformatory.
Which carried a huge social stigma back then.
Lifelong stigma. An institution for young women, often lower class, who'd committed minor offenses or were deemed morally at risk. Her past as a thief, though unknown to most servants, makes her acutely aware of her perceived moral inferiority. It fosters this profound sense of isolation.
She feels like an outsider.
Totally. She feels like a dreadful reproach honest people are in themselves to a woman like me. She keeps a certain distance, obstinately and civilly, between herself and the others. This psychological depth adds layers to the typical servant character, highlights the harsh realities of Victorian class distinctions, the enduring burden of a tainted past.
It makes you think, how does a past mistake, even when you've reformed from, keep haunting you, shaping every interaction?
Exactly. And this social isolation is tragically compounded by unrequited love, which drives Rosanna to desperate measures.
Penelope figures it out, doesn't she?
Penelope, ever insightful, reveals the poor thing is breaking her heart about Mr. Franklin Blake. Rosanna's behavior after seeing Franklin becomes unaccountable, her sudden illness, her asking hundreds of questions about Mr. Franklin Blake, her disproportionate anger when others spoke of him, it all points to this intense, secret affection.
An obsession, really.
It's a powerful and heartbreaking portrayal of obsession. Her internal world becomes entirely consumed by a man who's barely aware of her, who couldn't possibly return her feelings. This unrequited love magnifies her isolation and desperation, pushes her to the brink, making her this central, if unseen, actor in the drama.
But Cuff, he sees something else. Not the emotion, but the evidence.
Sergeant Cuff, ever observant, undeterred by the emotional complexities that cloud others' judgments, quickly turns his attention to Rosanna. His focus isn't on her emotional state directly, but on the concrete evidence surrounding her, seeing patterns where others just see distress. He notes her sudden illness, her absence when the servants were dining, suspicious in a household staff usually expected to be present.
And he connects it back to the paint smear.
This is where his cold, logical method truly shines. The smear on Miss Rachel's door is his initial thread, and he connects it to an article of clothing. Betteredge initially reports seeing Rosanna with something unrelated, the shape for a rosary.
Yeah, that was a bit confusing.
A playful misdirection. What Cuff actually discovers, through meticulous questioning, is the absence of something expected. A new nightgown in Rosanna's room, implying an older one was discarded.
Ah, so he asks about it.
He asks Betteredge to find out if she has had anything made, and confirms a new nightgown was indeed ordered. This implied a discarded, possibly incriminating, older one, linking directly back to the paint smear on Rachel's door. It's brilliant deduction, noticing the absence of something expected, not just the presence of something unusual, building the case piece by piece.
And then there's the quicksand. The shivering sand.
Cuff's investigation also uncovers Rosanna's morbid fascination with the quicksand, a dangerous, treacherous area. Rosanna herself says it looks as if it had hundreds of suffocating people under it.
Chilling. And the dog chains.
This detail, combined with her suspicious purchase of 2 dog chains, ostensibly for her box, though Betteredge suggests rope is cheaper, and Rosanna replies pointedly, chains surest. It paints this grim, premonitory picture.
So Cuff links these things.
Yeah.
The quicksand, the chains, the new nightgown.
Meticulously. He then traces a woman's footsteps, Rosanna's, on the beach, leading directly to the shivering sand. Applies a boot, confirms their identity. This whole sequence showcases the power of meticulous, almost forensic investigation. Building this chilling psychological profile, how can these seemingly unconnected details, a nightgown, dog chains, a fascination with quicksand paint, such a complete and chilling picture of premeditation and a secret tragic agenda.
And the search at the shivering sand, it leads to the inevitable.
A truly tragic discovery. Rosanna's body is found in the quicksand. Confirmed she got her by her own act. Suicide. A desperate, heartbreaking end to a life marked by stigma and unrequited love.
A shocking twist. Shifts the focus entirely and deepens the social commentary.
Absolutely. And with her body, her voice is finally heard, revealing a profound and shocking truth.
The letter in the tin box, weighted down by the chains.
Exactly. A sealed letter from Rosanna to Franklin Blake, recovered from that box, weighted by the very dog chains she bought, an act designed to ensure it would be found and read by him. This letter is her confession. But it's not a confession of theft.
No, it's something else entirely.
It's a confession of profound, self-sacrificing, and ultimately misguided love. Her motive is heartbreakingly revealed. If you had known how I used to cry at night with the misery and the mortification of your never taking any notice of me, you would have pitied me. She openly expresses her hatred for Rachel, believing Franklin was in love with her before you knew it yourself, which fueled her desperation.
Wow. So her sacrifice, it was all for Franklin.
And entirely for Franklin. She reveals she overheard Penelope say Rachel found the diamond in her sitting room, and critically, that Franklin was the last person in that room that night.
So she put two and two together. Wrongly.
Led her to a desperate conclusion that the smear on your nightgown might have a meaning entirely innocent of yourself, meaning he took it, but unconsciously. She believed Franklin had taken the diamond to sell it or pledge it, and so to get the money of which he stood in need due to his debts, acting out of some secret financial distress she imagined.
So to protect him.
To protect him, her beloved Franklin, she bought new longcloth, meticulously made a replacement nightgown, and hid his original paint-smeared one, the crucial piece of evidence that would have linked him to the scene.
My God. That's incredible.
It's a testament to the destructive power of unrequited love and the incredible self-sacrificing lengths people will go to for those they care about, even when that care is completely misplaced. The supposed thief, the one linked by evidence, isn't a thief at all. The seemingly guilty party, Rosanna, is a desperate, selfless protector, tragically misunderstanding the true nature of the crime. V. Unmasking the Truth, Part 2. Franklin's innocence and the real criminal.
Okay, so Rosanna's tragic confession changes everything for Franklin, but not necessarily for the better, initially. He returns to England.
And faces a direct, crushing accusation from Rachel herself.
You villain, I saw you take the diamond with my own eyes.
Yeah.
Just devastating.
It's the emotional climax for Franklin, isn't it? The height of the mystery's personal impact. Facing condemnation from the woman he loves based on seemingly irrefutable eyewitness testimony.
And he's just speechless.
Utterly struck helpless, unable to respond. Innocent as I was, he recounts, I stood before her in silence. To Rachel, and to any observer, he must have looked like a man overwhelmed by the discovery of his own guilt.
It shows how misleading eyewitness accounts can be, right?
Yeah.
When you don't have the full context.
Exactly, especially when divorced from context and intent. And Rachel's justification for her earlier silence, which seems so suspicious to Cuff.
Now it makes sense. A twisted kind of sense.
It's revealed. She believed Franklin was deliberately a thief, but loved him enough to conceal his infamy. This romantic, high-flown act of protection. She'd even written him a letter explaining it all, which he never got, tore it up in despair, later saying, I despise myself even more heartily than I despise him.
Heartbreaking. How perception just becomes reality when trust is broken like that. And what would it take for you to believe someone capable of something you saw them do, and then later doubt your own eyes?
It's a profound question. We have this clear accusation, seemingly irrefutable, direct witness, but the brilliance of this deep dive into the Moonstone is how it constantly subverts expectations, challenges our understanding of truth.
And that's where Ezra Jennings comes in, the unsung hero.
Mr. Ezra Jennings, Mr. Candy's assistant, a remarkable-looking man, distinctive gypsy complexion, sallow skin, generally unpopular, unsettling.
And suffering himself, uses opium for pain.
Right. He's got an incurable internal complaint, but despite his personal struggles, his marginalized position, he possesses this brilliant analytical mind, truly an unsung hero of this intricate mystery.
And he holds the key, hidden in plain sight.
Ezra Jennings, with his own profound understanding of opium's effects, holds the key, a truth hidden in plain sight. Through his own opium-induced insights into altered states of consciousness and his attentive care for Mr. Candy during the doctor's feverish delirium. He discovers Mr. Candy's fragmented, almost nonsensical notes.
The fever rambling?
Scrawled during his fever. Crucial phrases like, groping after sleep, nothing but medicine, witty, a night's rest in spite of his teeth, Lady Verinder's medicine chest, 5 and 20 minims, without his knowing it.
It sounds like gibberish.
To anyone else, maybe. But it's a masterpiece of forensic psychological detection. Seemingly nonsensical utterances become critical evidence that no conventional detective would have ever found or understood.
So what does Ezra piece together from this?
The revelation is staggering. It completely overturns the case. He pieces together that Mr. Candy, in his witty way, a kind of mischievous, well-meaning gesture to ease Franklin's restless night, had actually given Franklin Blake a dose of laudanum, sir, before you went to bed on the birthday night.
Without Franklin knowing.
Without him knowing. Candy saw Franklin restless, suffering from nervous irritation, poor sleep, thought he was being helpful. An act of well-intentioned but ultimately catastrophic medical intervention, the effects of which no one, least of all Franklin, understood at the time.
And Ezra understands the opium connection.
This is where his unique expertise is invaluable. He explains the common error about opium, that one can perform complex actions while under its influence and later have absolutely no memory of them, a profound insight into consciousness and memory.
So Franklin could have taken it and not known.
He asserts with absolute certainty, I can prove you to have been unconscious of what you were about when you entered the room and took the diamond. This completely overturns Rachel's eyewitness account as a statement of conscious guilt, reveals a truth far more complex than simple theft. This is the absolute turning point.
Incredible. How those ramblings, combined with medical insight, just flip the whole thing. It's a testament to looking beyond the obvious, right? Understanding physiology and psychology.
Absolutely. So, to conclusively prove Franklin's innocence, reconstruct the actual events. Ezra Jennings proposes this bold, almost theatrical experiment.
Recreate the night. Give Franklin laudanum again. Observe.
Exactly. Recreate the precise conditions of the birthday night, administer laudanum to Franklin again, and meticulously observe his actions. He even suggests it might help in recovering the lost diamond as well, shows his incredible investigative foresight, blending science with an understanding of the criminal mind.
The setup must have been intense.
Meticulously planned, scientific rigor. Lady Verinder's sitting room is restored exactly to what it was last year, complete with a new Indian cabinet mimicking the original. Franklin, desperate to clear his name, prove his innocence to Rachel, bravely agrees to take the laudanum.
And the witnesses are there. Betteredge, Bruff the lawyer, Rachel.
All present. Faces etched with skepticism, hope, anxiety. Rachel, seeing the laudanum, expresses a desire to have something to do with it, showing her deep emotional investment in finding the truth about Franklin. The tension must have been palpable.
And it works.
A chilling, undeniable success. Franklin, under the exact same influence of laudanum, rises from his bed, sleepwalking, talks to himself, expressing anxiety about the diamond's safety, murmuring it was safe in the bank, echoing his earlier concern.
Wow.
Walks directly into Rachel's sitting room, goes straight to the cabinet, takes the imitation diamond placed there, and then, with the gleam of the stone between your finger and thumb, walks back to his own room and hides it in a drawer. Falls asleep on the sofa, completely unaware, no memory when he awakens.
Undeniable proof.
This scientific, almost theatrical demonstration is undeniable proof. Rachel's accusation, based on what she saw, was factually correct. Franklin did take the diamond, but her interpretation of his intent was utterly, tragically wrong.
It's pure genius in detection. A revolution for crime solving, almost. How could an experiment like that change things? Especially when intent is unclear. What does it teach us about memory, consciousness, truth?
Massive implications.
Yeah.
And with Franklin's innocence irrevocably proven, the identity of the real thief, the one who capitalized on Franklin's unconscious actions, still lingered. But the pieces were now firmly in place.
So they go after Luker, the moneylender.
Mr. Bruff, the shrewd lawyer, and Franklin force Mr. Luker to finally make a clean breast of it. And what they uncover is a truly shocking indictment of Victorian hypocrisy and social facades.
Godfrey Ablewhite, the philanthropist.
Mr. Godfrey Ablewhite, the eminent philanthropist, Rachel's seemingly upright suitor, revealed to have this hidden, sordid life. A man of pleasure with a villa in the suburbs, significant crippling debts. He had spent by his trustee by the end of the year 47 a large inheritance. Basically, he was perpetually broke.
So his proposal to Rachel.
Purely mercenary. A desperate attempt to secure her fortune to pay off his debts and maintain his respectable facade.
And the real crime becomes horrifyingly clear.
Godfrey, witnessing Franklin take the diamond in his sleep, saw an opportunity and brutally exploited it. Followed Franklin, found the diamond in his room, and simply took it for himself.
Just pocketed it.
Went back with the diamond into his own room, calmly pocketed it. The next morning, chose to keep the diamond, then pawned it to Mr. Luker to finance his secret life.
Unbelievable. And Mr. Mirthwaite connects the final dots with the Indians.
The astute traveler, yeah. He later explains they were rewarded for the patient accuracy of their calculations by the diamond falling into a young girl's hands, making it easier to track. They tracked it to Luker, patiently waiting until it was redeemed to make their move.
The final piece of the puzzle. The most upright, publicly admired character is unmasked as the true villain, shows the corrupting influence of hidden motives, the dark side beneath the polished facade. What does this tell us about appearances? About villainy. 6. The vengeance of the Moonstone, resolution and lasting impact. So, the true criminal is unmasked. The investigation shifts to London for the final act, a dramatic, violent resolution that brings the curse full circle.
And Sergeant Cuff is back. The master detective comes out of his retirement, surrounded by the peaceful floricultural attractions of a country life.
His roses.
His passion for growing roses, a delightful, quirky human touch to the formidable detective, like an escape from the harsh realities of human nature. But he's drawn back in by the sheer magnitude of the case.
And his assistant, Gooseberry, plays a big role.
Crucial, almost indispensable. Demonstrates the importance of a vigilant, if unconventional, network in solving crime. Gooseberry tracks Godfrey, who's now disguised as a sailor after he retrieves the diamond from Luker's bankers, trying to hide his identity.
The hunt leads to an inn.
The Wheel of Fortune Inn in Shore Lane, where Godfrey Ablewhite is found dead and half undressed in his bed. Smothered. The curse claims its final ironic victim, brought low by the greed he hoped the diamond would satisfy. And the perpetrators, while never legally convicted.
The evidence points one way.
The moral, if not legal evidence, points squarely to the 3 Indian Brahmins. They've been watching Luker and Godfrey with that patience Mirthwaite warned of. Having been defeated twice, they seized their third and final chance to reclaim their sacred gem, leaving Godfrey dead in their wake.
And there was an accomplice, the mechanic.
The man personating a mechanic seen nearby is believed to be an accomplice. Emphasizes the organized, persistent, ruthless nature of their secret mission. The curse strikes again, but this time it feels like a form of ancient justice. Is it just another tragedy born of greed and vengeance? Or does Godfrey's swift, brutal end reflect the diamond's ancient power, the unwavering commitment of its guardians?
A question to ponder. And the chase doesn't end there. Cuff keeps tracking the Indians.
No, it doesn't end in London. Sergeant Cuff dispatches his man to follow them to the Tower Wharf, then to Plymouth. They embark on the Bewley Castle East Indiaman, bound direct for Bombay. The relentless pursuit by the Moonstone's guardians transcends borders, legal systems, highlights their absolute devotion. It's a complete inversion of the diamond's original violent taking by Herncastle.
And they make it back to Somnath.
They escape the ship, successfully reach their ultimate destination, the holy city of Somnath, where the throng had swollen to thousands, all slowly converging to one point. A massive gathering signifying the profound spiritual importance of this event.
And the diamond is returned.
In a solemn, reverent ceremony, the Moonstone is finally returned to its hidden shrine. Raised high on a throne, seated on his typical antelope, with his forearms stretching toward the 4 corners of the earth.
And the Brahmins themselves, what happens to them?
The 3 Brahmins, having forfeited their caste in the service of the god, through their travels and actions in the secular world, they embark on separate pilgrimages of purification, never to see each other again.
Forfeiting caste. That's a huge sacrifice.
Immense personal cost in Hinduism, loss of social standing, spiritual purity, necessitating arduous acts of penance, underscores the depth of their devotion.
So the prophecy is fulfilled. The devil's dance ends.
Finally ends with its return. The curse has run its course. A sense of ancient order, spiritual justice is restored, albeit with a trail of destruction in its wake across continents, through many lives. This ending transcends simple crime solving. It speaks to a deeper justice, a spiritual reckoning beyond human law.
What does it mean for something stolen centuries ago, that act of desecration, to finally be returned? Is there a larger message? About cultural heritage, restitution, maybe even karmic justice operating outside our legal systems?
Huge questions. This deep dive reveals profound lessons about justice, human nature, Victorian society. The local police, Seagrave, fail miserably. Incompetence, bias, scapegoating the marginalized.
While true detection cuff, Jennings requires meticulous observation, scientific insight, understanding psychology, points towards more modern, rational approach.
And the narrative constantly challenges our assumptions about guilt and innocence, shows truth is often far more complex. Rosanna, the reformed thief, commits suicide out of selfless, desperate love. Franklin, the respected gentleman, is the thief, but unconsciously. Godfrey Abel White, the philanthropist, is the actual, conscious criminal.
It constantly flips our expectations, forces us to look beyond appearances, consider complex motivations, circumstances. The book's masterclass in psychological profiling, really, long before the term existed.
Absolutely. And while no specific new laws came directly from this fictional case, the detailed investigation, the vindication of the innocent through scientific reenactment, especially the laudanum experiment, it suggests this powerful move toward more rational scientific methods in solving crime.
Even as ancient curses find their own justice.
Right. And Collins' work influenced an entire genre. The Moonstone became a classic, a foundational text, revolutionized detective fiction, moving from simple tales to intricate puzzles involving psychology, alibis, forensic detail, deep character exploration.
So what stands out to you from this incredible web of events? Beyond the thrill, what does the Moonstone's journey tell us about truth, the masks people wear, the enduring power of both love and vengeance?
From the ancient temples of Somnath to the grand estates of Victorian England, and finally back to its sacred resting place, the Moonstone's journey is this powerful testament to the intricate forces shaping our lives. It reminds us justice can be found in many forms, sometimes in the most unexpected places, delivered by the most unlikely figures, often at great personal cost.
Yeah, this deep dive has really shown us how a single object can become a focal point for so many human dramas. Greed, love, sacrifice, the relentless, patient pursuit of truth. It questions our fundamental assumptions about guilt and innocence.
And reveals the profound, echoing impact of past actions on present lives, across generations, across cultures, a reminder that history always finds a way to demand its reckoning.
So as you reflect on this fascinating case, maybe consider this. How much of what we perceive as reality is colored by our own biases? Our hidden desires, our cultural backgrounds, or even events we're not fully conscious of. And what other cursed objects or hidden histories are out there waiting for their full story to be told, if only we take the time for a truly deep dive into their complex, fascinating past.